For some people, it can feel like your entire schooling experience, 13 years of blood, sweat and tears, can all rest on one single number.
I'd say it's definitely my ATAR. I think that's something I think about quite a lot.
I guess it is one of the most stressful things about Year 12. Yeah, it's been talked about a lot and I'm starting to worry a little bit.
I'm aiming to study medicine, so it's in the high 90s, towards the higher end.
I'm quite a worrier, so yeah, I'm definitely worried about getting the ATAR that I want.
I think that I have the capability to get the ATAR I want, so if there's no reason to stress out about it if I know that I can reach it.
Yeah, your Australian Tertiary Admission Rank, or ATAR for short, is exactly that. It's a rank between 0 and 99.95, which shows you how you compare with the rest of your year level, with a bit of scaling. So if your ATAR is, say, 70, it means you're in the top 30%. For some, it can feel like this 2-digit number is the only thing standing between you and the university course you want to study. But is that really the case? Does your ATAR really matter?
Look, I think the ATAR is important as really a self-achievement. So people often aim to get a particular ATAR really to say they can do it. We have very competitive courses in which an ATAR really is a cut-off mark, if you like, where we say if you've got above this ATAR, you've got a chance of getting in. But it's not the be-all and end-all.
Jenny Shaw is the Deputy Vice-Chancellor Academic at the University of Adelaide. She says if you don't get the ATAR you were after, there are plenty of alternatives.
Yeah, the ATAR is definitely dropping in importance. If we look at universities across Australia, almost all universities have alternatives to ATAR. We might also look at an interview. We might look at an audition. We might actually want to assess your performance over a period of time. We may not want to see an ATAR at all.
I went to all the open days for the universities in South Australia and a lot of the sessions that I attended were about different alternative pathways to getting into university.
To me, they're always described as alternative pathways. And right now I'm just trying to look at like direct entry into undergraduate and things, because I want to see I believe that I can get into things directly.
I think there's always a way to get into the course you want to do. If it's slightly longer, then it's a bit worse, but at the end of the day, as long as you get what you want to do, it's all good.
Look, I can sit here and tell you that your ATAR isn't the be-all and end-all, but chances are you're still going to stress about it, and that's perfectly normal. In fact, it can be good to acknowledge these feelings. Trust me, I talked to a scientist.
Yeah, so in the research that we've done, what we've found is that the most effective thing you can do is to actually just accept your emotions and how you're feeling in that moment.
Dr. Ella Moeck is a researcher in psychology who looks at people's emotions in response to everyday stressful situations. Recently, she surveyed more than 100 students over 9 days, before and after they were waiting for crucial exam results. Her team then tracked 6 common emotional regulation strategies: rumination, bracing, reappraisal, sharing, distraction, and acceptance, to see which was most effective before and after receiving results, as well as asking the students how they were feeling throughout the whole time.
So we found that acceptance was the strategy that really was helpful, and it was the only strategy that was helpful in that waiting period. So give your emotions a label, a specific label, rather than a general label, and then to sit with them and acknowledge that they are a normal thing, and to not judge yourself for having them. So they're kind of the 3 main steps to accepting your emotions and how you're feeling.
Dr. Moeck says some of the worst things we can do while waiting is to ruminate on our results, that is to constantly be thinking about them, brace for them, which is to come up with a worst case scenario, and to reappraise, which is to think of a bunch of different scenarios and what you're going to do if you don't get the results you want.
What we found is that when students did this during the waiting period, it actually backfired and made them feel more negative. And this was not at all what we expected. And so it kind of suggests that in these uncertain situations, reappraising something that you don't yet know is actually what's going to happen can perhaps be exacerbating that uncertainty and making you feel worse.
Don't worry, I get it. It can be hard to put all of that into practice, and for the time being, your ATAR might feel like the biggest moment of your life. But recently, its importance has been dropping. One study back in 2016 found only 26% of undergraduate university admissions were made on the basis of a student's ATAR. And these were for the extremely popular courses like medicine, dentistry, or vet science. If you don't get the ATAR you are hoping for, there are other ways you can get into the course you want, like doing bridging or foundation courses, looking at the ATAR requirements across a bunch of different universities, or starting a similar degree and transferring to the one you want later down the track. It's also important to note that in just a few months' time, your ATAR is going to matter a whole lot less.
The ATAR drops in importance after about 6 months. So I would say if you haven't got the ATAR that you wanted, or you haven't got an ATAR at all, that's absolutely not a reason to write off going to university. So for many of us, we have foundation courses at our universities, and we will take students 6 months after year 12. It's really important just to look at your options and realise an ATAR is you at a point in time. It's not you in the future.